Hey y'all, hey, how are you guys? Happy Monday. So glad to be back doing my lives. Oh my gosh, I have been going through people. I was out of power for almost a week, so I couldn't do my live last week, so that kind of threw me off. So I am excited to be back and up and running today. This evening I have a special guest, and I'm excited to have him. Our topic is going to be fire. I feel like a lot of people are just going to be like, oh, I'm so glad you talked about this. So he is on. Let me see if I can add him. Uh, let's see. I got you. I got you. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, how are
Hello,
you,
hello.
Felix?
I'm good. I'm still new to the IG live thing, so I'm like, I don't know what to. And mind you, I'm a millennial, so I'm like, I'm not doing right towards my generation.
That's okay. Hey, we're in this together. Hey, that's my buddy in the house. Hey, Miss Optimistic. Well, thank you so much. You were flexible with me. You were understanding. Like I was
Of
just describing, I was
course.
going through a lot. Just kind of getting back to the swing of things. Like I said, my power was off for a week. Then my stove went out. So it was like, okay, one thing after another. But woosah,
Woosah,
we
that's what I'm talking about.
that's what you gotta
Ooh,
do. So,
ooh, let me see. There we
okay,
go.
okay,
And
cool.
then no, no. All right,
No,
I'm
no,
like, I'm figuring things out. I'm still figuring. You see, I'm like, I'm
right.
pressing all the
Like you want
pressing
to
all the
tap, you
buttons.
want to
I'm like,
touch.
what is this? What is this? Okay,
Yes,
I'm ready.
but thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And
Yes,
I hope that your house and your home and your neighborhood and your neighbors are safe and, are
thank you,
good. I
thank
know
you.
that this, like, Mother Nature has been giving us signals
Oh
to take care of
yeah,
her.
come on now, you better speak. I'm
And
telling
so,
you. Yeah, and I'm trying to do my part. I'm only one person, but I'm trying to do my part. So that's all we
yeah,
can do. Yeah,
all we
for
can
sure.
do.
Sure. Well, Mr. Felix, I want you to introduce yourself to my audience and, tell us some good stuff about you.
All right. So my name is Felix Gabriel Lopez. I am from New York, from the
Okay.
Bronx.
All right.
And I am a second year master's student studying clinical psychology at the New School of Social Research.
Yeah.
So I'm getting my master's, and I have
Yes.
another master's degree at Columbia, studying narrative medicine.
Mm,
Narrative medicine is basically medical humanities training, where I train doctors to be more empathic and compassionate for people while
okay.
they're treating their patients. Um, I have worked in the medical field and done research for the past 5 years. Did care management, helping the elderly who are uninsured or Medicaid, Medicare. Worked with folks who had mental illness, schizophrenia, bipolar. Um, I also have worked largely with the LGBTQ community, especially gay, black, same gender loving men,
Yes.
gay black men. And so I've worked in public health and worked in grants and worked in advocacy. And currently I'm at Rutgers University of Public Health, working on a mobile mental health app that connects gay black men in Atlanta, not only
Yes.
for clinical care coordination, but through community forums, through social connectivity, to really deter the homophobia and the racism they often face, and try to see how this app can actually get them to elevate to care and community care, not just self care. Um,
Right.
and so my research interest includes the LGBTQ community, but more specifically, I um, am really, really interested in LGBTQ parents. So, what does it look like to be Black, but also LGBTQ, but also be a parent? Like, what does it
Come
look
on.
like to look at society in such a different lens where it's not just that the gay community is this like antiquated notion of like they're promiscuous or like they're this like notion of party, but like that people can form families, and what does it look like to foster that a different world that we're seeing now, not only
Yes.
accepting LGBTQ people as themselves, but also accepting them to be parents and to be so much more than what their identity often pushes them to be, especially because of the AIDS HIV epidemic in the 80s. There was just so much stigma. And so my life's mission is really just to combat against the stigma that's associated with being Black or being gay or being in with a mental illness.
Oh
So
my
that's me.
God. I applaud you, young man. I love that. Oh my God. And see, that's why I have you on, right? Because I love a good perspective, honey. Like,
Freeze. Okay.
oh,
Okay. You're good. You're
I should have went on
good.
do not disturb. Like, no, don't call me now. But anyways, back to what I was saying, I love a good perspective, right? You know, people can just be so narrow minded. And so this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you. So I wrote these questions down so I can make sure we stay the course because I want to get them all in, okay?
Yes. Yes.
So I asked you for statistics on individuals who are struggling with depression or substance abuse due to them struggling with their sexuality. Do you have any statistics to back that up?
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the things that, especially with lesbian, gay, and bisexual youth, they are seriously contemplating suicide at almost 3 times the rate of heterosexual youth. And this is all just in reference to the Trevor. I'm going to use statistics from the Trevor Project,
Okay.
which is a
I
project
heard of that.
based in New York City, and
Okay.
they have actually a call-in line, and they have services and research where they are really trying to mitigate suicide amongst LGBTQ youth. So some is coming from there, and then others facts are going to come from the Human Rights Campaign.
Okay.
Another thing is that LGBT youth are almost 5 times as likely to attempt suicide compared to their heterosexual individuals. 1 in 6 students between the grades 9 to 12 seriously considered suicide in the past year, and this is coming from March 2020. So this is recent.
Wow. Yeah.
And then when it comes to substance, one of the things that I've in like a past 30-day of alcohol use or marijuana use by sexual identity, it recent alcohol use is 37% for LGBT youth, 37% compared to heterosexual youth, which is 30%. And then that's in high school. Recent
Wow.
marijuana use in high school for LGBT youth are 31% compared to heterosexual youth, which is 19%. And so other things is like lifetime cocaine use, which is 8% for LGBT folks and 4% for heterosexual folks. Or ecstasy is for, let's just say, 18 to 25, like young adult.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
19% for LGBT folks, lesbian, gay, bisexual, just to reiterate, and then 8% for those who identify as heterosexual. Methamphetamine, again, it's higher, 12% versus 6%. So all that comes to show there's so many reasons for that too, right?
Mhm.
So, and we could talk about it more once
Yeah.
I might be jumping forward, but yeah.
Okay, so you talked about the youth. Now, for adults that are in that group, does it go higher? You know,
Yeah,
or the youth? Okay,
it
because I
does.
have noticed just personal experience, you know, with gay men that I know they tend to drink a lot more. And so I didn't know if that increases as they get older. And so I guess can we talk about the not well, I guess the triggers or what can contribute to that, you know, increased usage?
Yeah, there's so many things that could contribute to that. One of the things I researched last semester was more so methamphetamine usage, specifically to like the gay men who have sex with men community
Mm-hmm.
and methamphetamine use. But one of the things in general about substances, drugs, and alcohol is when folks identify as gay, lesbian, or even identify as another gender, which is whether that be gender nonconforming or transgender, there is this fear in this coming out spectrum of like rejection, whether that be from family or from friends, or and this isolation factor. And a lot of times, if we think about it, where do people in the LGBTQ community kind of join together to be in partnership or to be in community? And that's a lot of times in social gatherings. Social gatherings being clubs or dance spaces or just hangout spots. And more likely than not, there are going to be substances, alcohol, or drugs involved. And one of my specialties in school is substances, and we have to think about it in the context of like drug set and setting. So like if you are in a club, in a dance place where there's all these people that you've never met, but like you identify with because they're same sexual orientation and stuff, the
Yeah.
setting is the club. It's like, well, there's substances that kind of enhance those feelings of like unity, like whether that be meth
Yes.
or cocaine or something.
Right.
And then, but what can happen, like from that is that it can go from a fun time, right? But there can be habits and habits are the biggest thing when it comes to substances. It's the habit of like, I need this to cope with this.
Yeah.
I need this because unfortunately, like as I was saying with some of the numbers, it's like there's so much obstacles that folks in the LGBTQ community face, especially and it gets enhanced for the people of color, Black LGBTQ youth.
Yes.
It's extremely enhanced, and so sometimes to cope with that with life, substances sometimes are used and become part of the habit of life, and unfortunately, a lot of times it just becomes uncontrolled.
Yeah, yeah, and I get, and like you said, too, isolation, right? When you're isolating, right, you don't have spaces to, be comforted, be validated, be supported. So I totally get why that substance would bring some sort of comfort and things of that nature. So, okay. Okay. And I think we just talked about it, right? What fears contribute? Oh, no. So this is the next one. What fears contribute to a person coming out or revealing their sexuality to their loved one?
Oh yeah. So the one of the biggest things, one of the things I really do believe into is that coming out is a continual process. So I think
Okay.
sometimes we often think that coming out, and I think it's because of the way the media plays it, is that this one stagnant event. I don't know if you've seen
Yeah.
television shows. They're like, this is the moment that this person just
Yeah.
comes out the closet,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But it's not really like that if you really think about it, because it's a developmental process that happens over time. Think if we think about it like, all right, so I go to a cookout, right, and I'm like, oh, I bring my partner.
Right.
It's almost I have to come out to my family and be like, this is my partner.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
when you go to another setting, you gotta almost have to come out again. And so this
Yeah.
continual process of coming out can happen again and again and again, and that could either be great depending
Right.
on depending on the social context that you're in, because if you're at your mom's church and
Right.
it can get kind of dicey
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
compared to like, oh, I'm with my college classmates. They can be different. So I
Hmm.
think this version of coming out is specifically important for like family, like and how family react. So like one of the things I found, like this is from the Human Rights Campaign, is that only 25% of LGBTQ youth have families who show support for them by getting involved in the larger LGBTQ community and ally community. So that means like not only
Mm.
that they show support, like, oh, but they actually show support in going into events. And that's a big indicator for support when you have a child or someone in the family that feels that they're part of that community as a lesbian, gay,
Right.
bisexual, trans, and having that support of being like not only saying that I see you, but I want to come with you to these events. I'm interested in going to the
Yeah.
parade, or I want to go to the club and do karaoke. Like, and just
Yeah.
having that support to be like I'm here with you the whole way.
Yeah.
It's almost like following up with also following through.
Right. And that makes sense, right? It's kind of like, I don't mean to sound harsh, but it's like you're not remaining ignorant, right? You're educating yourself on it, and that speaks volumes,
Yeah,
right?
you're putting like as some, if it's someone as an ally, that
Mhm.
allies putting themselves in situations where they're gonna might be wrong sometimes, and that's
Right.
and that's like it's almost I call it almost like this ego death where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, like I think sometimes in society, a lot of times people want to be right, but like that humbling experience, be like, you know what, this is not my space. I'm not gonna
Right.
take space. I'm gonna allow that person to be, and I being privileged enough to be like, oh, I'm in this. I've been privileged to be in this space when I probably would have never been in this space before because of said ignorance. So like
Yeah.
seeing things like coming out as a gift or letting them get
Mm.
you into your community as a gift, letting them
Yes.
share their story or their love life is a gift. And I think one of the things that I tell parents when they talk about like, what do I do when my kid comes out? Like
Yeah.
that's a huge question sometimes, and it's like, well, ask them what they need from you,
Mm-hmm.
and like how can I best support you during this time, and
Yeah.
just showing up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another piece I was gonna say too. A lot of times these parents, they're a little child. So, some are in the space of accepting, some aren't. And my heart just goes out to individuals who are, in that position, right? I can't even imagine how that would feel to just, this is your mom or your dad or whoever your caretaker is, and you want to be embraced, and then that's a rejection there. Like, okay, and
Mm,
I might be jumping ahead, but okay,
no.
let me let me stick to my question. Okay, so what sort of spaces can we create to support this community? I have LGBTQ plus community to feel safe, supported, and humanized.
I like humanize. I like that.
Yeah.
It's I think the way that we create space is for them to curate the space. I think it's
Mm,
sometimes like, what is it? What does their world look like, and having them create that, or having the person be like, I want you, I want to do this, I want to do that. Like, the space can be different depending on the person, right? Every person is different, but I think the love has to be there, the compassion has to be there, the acceptance has to be there. Like the the curiosity of wanting to know more should be there. But also like happiness and joy and love, and the erasure of like judgment or like caring what other people might think. There's so much of that that can happen, and also being like you like being there to know that, oh no, I'm your number one cheerleader and advocate, and
mm,
like I don't know about know about you, but like I have people that be like, no, no, I have your back. Like no
right.
matter what, like I got you, and
Yep.
that's all it is. Like I'm
Yeah.
loyal, and hearing those words like can be so powerful for a person, especially for someone who's young. Because I think what happens a lot of times for LGBTQ youth, and the reason that they don't come out is that they don't have an environment that they see that they know the language of coming out. Like they don't
Mm,
see that, especially like I'm privileged because I live in New York. I'm born and raised in New York, so like I was able to see with everything.
yeah.
But like if I'm living in Kansas in the middle of like the rural area, like
Yeah.
what do I have for my representation? And so that's why it's so important to like see representation in the media, like Pose, or see representation in children's books. Like there's one children's book, Julian is a mermaid. So like, what does it look like to have that space curated to say that that we see you, we love you, and we believe in you, but not after. It doesn't even have to be after a person comes out. It's just there. Like queerness
Right.
can be there
Yeah.
without having a motive that it needs to be there.
I like it. Okay, good. And also, too, I'm a mental and emotional advocate. So, therapy, too, I feel like that's essential. Okay. We all need that healing. So, please consider that as well. And I think that, too, that also will help with that esteem that they need, right? To feel sure within themselves to be like, hey, this is who I am unapologetically and authentically, honey. Period.
Right, right,
So okay,
right.
don't get me to talking, but
No, I'm hearing, I'm listening, I'm loving it. Yeah,
yes,
and I
yes,
think that's the thing too. Therapy, it's like for me, I'm like, oh yeah, therapy is like that's the bottom line. That's always like
right.
that's like
I
that's
mean,
it. Like
I always got to make sure that's mentioned. Like people be like gloss over. Nah, that's imperative.
very important.
Yes. Okay, and then okay, my last question is what encouraging words would you give someone who's struggling with coming out and just living authentically and unapologetically?
Uh, I think my words as of this moment is like the for that person who might be struggling, that you are the bomb. Like you are it. You are it. And it's okay if you're not ready to like let this world see your shine, because it's magical and majestic. And I think sometimes it's hard, because it's like, when do I do it? How do I do it? Like there's this moment of like, when does it happen? And it's gonna happen when it's time, when you're ready. Like it doesn't have to be rushed. It doesn't have to be like sped up, and like every person is their own moth or butterfly, right? Like it just takes them blooming in different times. And like I think for that person, I'll let them know that like whenever that time is your time. And that is not too early, is not too late, it's the right time. And that's okay, and that you're still beloved.
Excellent. I love it. And look at that ray of sunshine. I feel like I'm like, oh, with this message right now. I love it. Okay, Felix, is there anything else you wanted to add? Because I wanted to make sure I answered all my questions.
Oh
Any
yeah.
resources you wanted to share too? Like,
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes. I think definitely the Trevor Project.
Okay.
That's like my biggest resource. I not only for research, but just like it's a great organization just to
Okay.
like PFLAG, and
Okay.
that is parents and families, that it's supporting parents and families who have LGBTQ children. So it's a
Uh-huh.
great organization for parents or family members that are just like wanting to know more resources.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great organization. The
Mm-hmm.
Human Rights Campaign is also great. They have a great uh, resource for LGBTQ youth and for families and parents. So those three, but I'll send you a whole list. I have my list.
Please, thank you. Thank you so much. And like I said, if there's anything else you wanted to add, I'm going to tag you in this video so they can follow you.
Oh
Yes.
yes. Oh yeah, my still new to this.
All
Yes,
right.
and my what's my app? Oh, BFGL Lab. THEFGLLAB.
And it'll
BFGL
be
Lab.
tagged in this live as well. Yes. Well, I just want to thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm always enlightened by these conversations that I have, and this was nothing shy of it. I appreciate you and the work that you're doing. I mean, look at you. Like, I can't wait to see what you got coming up next.
I can't wait for the next talk. I can't wait to hear the next safe space with Shay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And like I said, I'll tag you so y'all go follow him. Send me them resources because I'm gonna be promoting it.
All right. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me to this space. Thank you for everyone
Thank
who
you.
watched, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You have a good evening.
You too.
Okay. Bye.